And now we have all the cool clips here, all the transitions, which are pretty nice. And usually before I start now speed ramping these and like actually place them on the beat, I would actually go for exporting them one more time to the final files so I can like smoothly keyframe them and speed ramp them. Because if I'm now going to use this comps and speed ramp them, it's going to take a lot more time to render and maybe we're going to get some errors. So to avoid that, we can actually export that clip with a transparent background here. I'm going to show you how. So go up to file again. We're going to export, add to render queue. We can delete the other ones, just select them and delete them. And now we choosing again QuickTime here. And now we need to do one more thing to make sure that we export with a transparent background. So we're going here into the format options and going to animation. Make sure this is checked. And then here for channels, we can choose RGB and alpha channel. So it's going to export both. And that's exactly what we want if we want to export transparency. Yes. So set OK. Now we are going to define the folder. And let's say we are calling this one version 1. No, let's say version 2 ProRes. Yes. So this is going to be number 5. This is the last clip. Transition. Yes. Now we can just export it. And then we have that clean animation. And then we can move on to create some cool effects on the beat. Yes. So while it's rendering, we can actually look up some cool audio on Instagram. So I actually just look up music here in the music tab. So if you create a new post here, let's say I've added this picture. And I want to add music here. There's top right is that music icon. And here I can just go through the list and search some cool beats. That's pretty cool. That sounds good. So let's, first of all, before we search through the music, we are going to export all the layers. So here, we're going to add everything to the render queue. And boom. Make sure it's set to QuickTime. Make sure it's alpha and RGB, and go on to the next one. Here as well. Is that the final layer? Yes, it is. So nice. Go to export, render, choose QuickTime, and choose the RGB and alpha. Let's go. Next up, we have the transition here, which comes in really smooth like that. I want to export this, add to the render queue. QuickTime, yes, please. RGB and alpha, yes. And last but not least, we're going to export that layer as well, so we can play around with it. Nice. So add to render queue. Here, this is the first shot. There we don't have any transition going on, so we do not need the alpha here. So let's jump in and name them. So this is going to be the first shot. The other ones, I think this is going to number 2. Well, we can place them afterwards and see what location we're going to place them. So just randomly clicked enter. So now it's going to render all of them. Not a problem. We can rename them in a second in the project. So also the render is finished. So let's quickly import the version 2 ProRes here. So we have the clips here. Nice. So you see here we're going from transparent into that shot. Nice. Here's the same. Zoom, zoom. And now they are like clean MOV files. They have a great quality. We can just play around with that. We are going to create a comp with all these clips. So let's drag in the first clip here onto the new comp icon here. Boom, like that. So this is going to be the first clip. Nice. And now in composition settings, we are choosing, I don't know, 15 seconds maybe. So we have some more time here to edit. That's cool. Let's bring also in the audio, Command I, we importing the MP3. Here we can double click it to have a preview. First of all, I want to select the area where I want the music to play. So let's start when we say here. Yeah, that's cool. From here maybe. So let's drag in that file. And now we can open up the options here, the audio waveform, so we can actually see what's going on in the waveform. So I think that's cool. Let's say. And then on back, I want to have a speed ramp. So let's right click that clip and enable time remapping. And now I'm going to bring that keyframes closer here to the other one. And with that, we're changing that speed. But now it's like really fast, right? So we can go in here and change the speed graph. So we want to slowly go up and slowly come down again. So that is exactly what we need. So that's pretty cool, right? Make sure it's above 0. Okay, so this is feels a bit laggy. I don't know why, because I sped it up. So here when we are at 0, so maybe we need to go here, like speed it up here on the beat. Why is it so laggy? Let's a little bit more up. Okay, this is weird. You see here, if I go below to 0, it's lagging. So you might want to go a little bit up here with the slider, so it's not laggy. Now we're trying to match that moment where it's like dropping to speed up. And to actually see motion blur when it's speed up, you just need to turn on motion blur on that layer and make sure you have added the false motion blur effect. Right away, if you add that effect, you see motion blur applied. So that makes a big difference. So that's why I love speed ramping in After Effects, because you can see here that motion blur directly applied, which is pretty cool. Nice. So let's add the next clip. I think we can go with maybe with that come out of the. So this is for sure our last clip. So let's move this one all the way to the end. And I think let's move on with that clip here. So let's drag this one on top. And now you see directly we have actually a transition because we've exported transparent. So we've already created a transition. And that's pretty dope, right? So now we just need to add the clips and only do the speed ramping. And then we have a sick edit. Cool, right? So that is pretty satisfying. I like that process a lot. So let's speed ramp this as well. Go to time. Enable time remapping. Let's bring these one closer together. And now we are going to create another speed ramp like that. Boom, boom. Let's see how that looks. Oh no, it's laggy again. We need to bring up the keyframes here. So nice. That's cool. Let's yeah, so now we just have to match the timing here. Maybe we can actually start later with the speed ramp. So let's add another keyframe here. And let's only bring no, wait. Yes, let's add a keyframe where we want to speed up, something around here. Add a keyframe and only speed up this area. So bring this one closer. Yes. And now we can speed up this one. Boom. Oh yeah, of course you need to be at 1 for the speed. Because I was confusing, I had to go to 0, but yeah, of course you need to be at 1. So let's speed this up a little bit earlier. So let's delete the keyframe again here. I think here is a good point to start and bring this one closer. Boom, you can see here it's sped up. Let's smooth that curve. Yes. Yeah, that's nice. We can also maybe increase the speed here a little bit, so bring these two closer as well. Nice. And then we jump right into the next transition. Nice, cool. Next clip is going to be the one out of the steering wheel logo. Let's just drag this one in. Nice. Nice, and here we already need that transition. And here we speed up again. So, here on that clip here, where we like speed ramp, here we can also add the force motion blur. So we can just copy that effect, paste it on here, boom. Right away you see the motion blur going on. It looks way cooler with motion blur. So, and here let's enable time remapping again. Sure we're on the right clip, boom, time, enable time remapping. And let's say from here on we can speed this clip up. Let's say here, boom, let's bring this one closer. Of course we are going to smooth it. Smoothie, nice. All right, we can even bring this closer to the other one. Maybe something like that. Yes, and we can speed it up even more. On the beat, yes. That's cool. Let's add force motion blur as well. You see the difference? It's looking amazing. Yes. Oh yes, this is going to be really smooth. And our last transition is no, almost the last. We still have that another wheel to go. So this one here, yes, please bring this one in and drop it on top. Okay, it needs to start around here. Yes. Yes, a little bit earlier on the beat. Oh, we need the other transition. Sorry. We have that reel already used. Ah, it's that one. Yes, sorry. Let's put this one in. Nice. Place it somewhere around here maybe. Let's see how that looks. Make sure you're in the right tab, because sometimes, like right now, I'm like in the playback tab for the transition clip preview, but I want to see the composition. So make sure you're in the right tab here. Yes. Nice. Nice. Okay, and now let's enable time remapping here as well. Time remapping, and I think we can speed up from somewhere around here. Let's make a keyframe, bring this keyframe closer. So we're going to speed this up. You see here, I just sped it up. And let's smooth the curve. Noise. Yes. All right, that's cool. Let's copy and paste also the motion blur here on top of that clip. So you can see that is also looking pretty cool here. This is like, oh, I love that shot. It's making like, you know, the car is still kind of sharp, but like the top and the bottom part getting blurry, like the floor. Ooh, nice. And now we are going to add the last transition because we already dragged it in. Nice. So I want that spin. And here we can add another speed ramp, I think. So let's set time. Enable time remapping. Yeah. Let's just bring this one closer together in general. And then without adding a keyframe, let's see how that looks when we speed this up like that. Oh yeah, this is way too early. So let's delete these. Yes, and let's create another keyframe around here and bring these one closer together. So this area is pretty much, this duration is not affected by any speed yet because we set this keyframe. And here the last one we're dragging to this one here. So this area is getting affected, this length only. So this is not affected. And here we have the speed up and we are going to smooth it. Let's see how that looks. Is that cool? I think that's cool. So let's add a motion blur on that clip as well. Paste motion blur. Yes, and that is it. That is the end of the video. Boom. Let's see how that looks. Nice. So we can cut it here again. The Command Shift X. So that is the edit, guys. Cool, right? Pretty straightforward, I think. That is a lot of fun to edit, I think. Nice. So I'm happy with that. Maybe we can add some scaling here because here's like the frame is blocked, it's not moving anymore. So to make it more realistic, because here's the speed ramp, like the speed is here, the clip is over because we already used the full clip because we have sped it up. So we can pre-compose this one. Pre-compose, make sure move all attributes and adjust the composition to duration to the span of the selected layer. Okay. And now we can make a scale keyframe. And let's say here can still be at 100. And here I want it to be smaller. I don't know, something like that. And also we want to edit the position. Let's make a keyframe at the beginning where scale is at 100. The position should be the same. And here at that part, we can move it a little bit more down. And let's easy ease these keyframes and let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's just adding this extra touch. I think that's pretty cool. Let's smooth these keyframes, speed it up a little bit more in the middle of the duration for both scale and position. Sweet. We can actually bring them a little bit further apart. So, yes. Details, guys. It's all about the details. Nice. And we could actually do the same here for that shot as well, because this is shot here in the background is not moving. Same reason. Because here the clip is over, right? And this little second, spice it up a bit, you know? Spice it up, activate motion blur, and pre-compose everything here. Boom, yes, and now scale and position keyframe. Yes, please. Move this to the last frame here where it's still moving. Something around here maybe. Gonna be at the same size. And here we want to crop in, like scale down. Not really crop in, but scale down, something like that. And the position is actually fine. Let's easy ease them and boom. Nice. Okay, that's cool. I think we have a black rim here at the bottom. Yes. So we need to maybe we're even going to delete the position keyframes here on that layer. Boom. We could also add the rapid tile effect again. Rapid tile. So expand right, border, down, up, and now let's unfold that. Unfold. Yes, please. Nice. I think that's cool. That's nice. But we can also, of course, add a position keyframe here. And let's say we want to move this one further down. Let's also easy ease them. low. Nice. I think that's also pretty cool, right? It's like kind of moving down. Let's adjust the keyframe speed here so the position comes in later. Nice. Well, that's cool. Maybe also for the first one here, for that shot as well, we should change the size here. This is in general just selling the effect more, I think. So this is the first shot here. It is over around here. It's not moving anymore. They're not big. Let's pre-compose that layer. Okay. Scale keyframe. You want scale, and let's scale out. Like here. We want to scale out a bit. Maybe this is just a tiny little change is already selling the effect. Oh, too early. Way too early. Let's edit the speed graph so it's coming in later and faster. Okay, we can add Reptile. Let's copy the one we have created on here. Yes. Boom. Back. Paste it on here. Yes, fixed it. Oh, here we have borders as well. So let's fix that. Reptile. Easy. Ooh. Yes. So guys, I think we are ready to create some dope sound design. Because sound design is going to sell the effect even more. First of all, let's do one more thing. Let's pre-compose everything. All right. Let's add a new adjustment layer here. Boom. And I'm going to add the CC vignette effect. Look at that. I think it's just really just like selling the effect more here. Maybe not too heavy. Like this. You can also do a positive vignette. If you want it brighter, you can just set it to minus. Otherwise, you can set it to plus. And I think like that is just, yeah, adding more structure to that edit. And we can also increase the exposure, I think, a little bit because the shots are quite dark. Let's say 1. So I will have a cool contrast. Yes. I think that's cool. Another thing we can do is we can add blur. So let's add the fastbox blur. Here, let's increase the size and let's draw a ellipse mask for that layer. Something like that. Let's center it here. Now we're going into mask options with pressing M, invert the mask, and bring up the feather with pressing F. Now we can feather everything and we can position it more to the corners. So like that, we can create these blurry edges effect, which you can see here. Now we're affecting also the vignette, so we can define the area where we want to blur stuff out. Yes, I think that's pretty cool. We can set down the amount here of that adjustment layer to, I don't know, 60. So it's just slightly affecting it. I think it's just these details at the end. It's going to make a big difference. I think we are done in After Effects actually. Cool, I think we're done After Effects. So one more export, add to render queue. And now we're exporting again as a QuickTime, but we don't need the alpha channel. No transitions needed here. So let's call this one, create a folder which is called export. And let's say Rolls Royce version 1. export Rolls Royce. Yes, please. Put this one into the export folder. Nice. moving on to the last step, but really important step, we're going to add some sounds. I'm using Premiere Pro to add the sound and do the final export. You can of course use After Effects. I just find it easier to do sound design in Premiere Pro. I just think the timeline looks a little bit more, like sound designing. I just think it's easier to move clips and apply audio effects there. So we are going to open up Premiere Pro, importing that clip, and of course adding our sound effects. And I'm usually using Artlist. So I get my music there, especially also for client projects where I need copyright music, which is pretty cool to have all the freedom here to create. And yeah, they also have sound effects. So I'm going to use a lot of whooshes here, maybe also a debris. So if you, for example, search for debris here, you can use whatever platform you want. You can also use Epidemic Sound, or if you want it for free, you can search for that sound effect on YouTube and maybe you find a good sound effect for that. So something like that, where we move through stuff. I think debris are pretty cool here. Like these impacts, because we're going through metal and through like hardware. And also search for whooshes. Whooshes are pretty important. I'm going to add a lot of whooshes here. Also, maybe you want to add some torch whooshes, like fire whooshes. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's cool. If you add fire to your keywords, I think this is going to give you some cool results. All right, let's open up Premiere Pro and finish this masterpiece with the right sound. I would recommend to download a whole bunch of sound effects before you start that sound designing process, before you get into that creative state. So make sure you download all your files or you import your existing sound libraries. In general, I would recommend to create a bigger library of different sound effects throughout your projects. And then you have always like a sound library which you can rely on, which you can always import, and you know which sound effects you have. So we're going to create a new project and we're going to name this Rolls Royce. Zoom out. That is right. Choose a location. Of course, you know Premiere Pro, right? Desktop, right folder, create a Premiere Pro folder. So it's going to save the autosaves there as well. Now to import our clip we've just exported. So make sure Command I, you import your clip. Now I'm just dragging this clip into the new sequence button here, and we have that sequence ready. Nice. Nice, that is cool. Let's import the sound effects. So I actually have a folder here with sound effects. I know I'm going to use the Motion Pulse sound effects pack. It's from Video Copilot. It costs some dollars, but I think it's super worth it. Since I bought it, like I never regret that I spent that money on. This is really, really cool. So first of all, I'm going to turn off the music and let's find for some moments in time where we want to add these effects, these sound effects. We're starting with whooshes. Here I have a folder which is called Power Whooshes. So these are pretty cool. Let's get in that first one. It is actually too low. We need more power. Maybe something like that. Let's see how that. Nice. That is actually pretty good. Or maybe something like that. That's like really powerful. Yeah, I think that's cool because we're having that saber outline. Maybe a little bit later. A little bit earlier. Nice. Cool. Let's use this one. I think here it's pretty easy to add sound effects because like we just need a lot of whooshes here because it's going so fast through so much stuff. This one needs to come earlier. And again, another whoosh because we need whooshes every time we speed up the clip and when we enter like have a transition. So a lot of whooshes in that type of edit, that is for sure. So we basically constantly hear whooshes. Yeah, but that feels right. That's a really fast edit. Yes, something like that is really cool. Yes, exactly. Oh, that is maybe cool for that spin here. Is that cool? I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we can add this one earlier. Yes. So. I think we're going to add this one instead of that weird futuristic alien sound. Yes, that is cool. All right, so that was just basically searching for a lot of whooshes and like placing them in onto the effects. Nice, and it works. And now we can also add some swishes. They're also pretty cool. They're like more like, I think it's pretty cool, like logos going back in. And we need something cool for the beginning. Yeah, I think that is cool for the beginning. When the the symbol comes up here. Yes, that is nice. That can also be cool and supportive for the transition here at the beginning. So I'm just basically... Oh yeah, here we need that. Like right when we enter that area here. So I pretty much try to add a good sound effect, a matching sound effect to each action. So every time I sped up the clip, like we have a time mapping, like sped it up, I'm going to add a whoosh and support it with that or swish. And every time we are entering or going through an object for the transition, I'm also trying to place a cool sound effect for that, for what's actually happening. So we want to tell the story visually and with audio. This is so important. Even if we have like music on top later, it's still going to make a difference, believe me. And the good thing is if you have a good library, so I can just pretty much, as you see, I can drag and drop them and just have to find, of course, they're different and I need to hear if they fit for the transition or for the effect, but in general, I can use all of them and I just have to match moment in time, the transition, the effect, so it feels right and sounds right. So I think this is a pretty good example of having good sounds and like spending the time searching for the right sounds. They can save you a lot of time and you will like increase your quality of videos immense. Like it's crazy. Let's add some debris. Yeah, oh, that bass drop could be cool at the end, like here. Yes, that is nice. Just hear the bass drop. I think it's cool to finish something off in the background with that. And let's also maybe add some metal impact. Oh, that is cool. Maybe we can add this for the logo coming in. Here. So here we are going to add that sound effect. So the logo is like popping in a bit earlier. Yes, you hear that? Boom. That is perfect. Nice. Cool. We also have some lock effects here. The impact is pretty cool. I mean, you see all the different names here and you could just research them or you get the pack yourself. That is totally up to you. But I think it's pretty cool. Also, maybe you can add some trailer hits. Yes, this is pretty dramatic. Let's see if we can add this at some point here. Or here maybe when it's closing. But it's like really loud, so I don't know if it's fitting. I know it's too much. It's just too much. Let's move on and search for lockdown is pretty sick. Yeah, I think these are pretty cool for the transitions we have created. Oh yeah, and also for the beginning, if that logo comes up, the symbol. Ooh, that is what I'm talking about, guys. Boom. Nice. Love that. That is cool. Nice. Let's see what else we have. That is cool. Yes. It's like you can hear something's going to happen, like the transition. You're actually introducing the transition with the sound. Boom. Oh, well, it might better fit here because... And this one we're going to drag before. Yes. Nice. Okay, that is bringing the edit to life. Like this lockdown effect. Oh, this one comes here. Ooh, yes. Oh, yes. That is what I'm talking about. Oh, here we can add an locker. Maybe something like that. That could be really cool. Like these lock effects, I don't know, they're like amazing. I love that. So let's bring them in here. Ooh, yes, this is what I'm talking about. And of course, I'm going to edit also the volume here. So you can create keyframes if you hold down Command and you make a keyframe here on that line. You can make the sound come in smoothly with keyframes for the loudness. Woo! And we can also with Command A, we can select all of them, and Command Shift D, we are going to add some fade-ins for the audios. But these are pretty long. So if we go into settings and audio to timeline it is, we can set here the default audio transition, and let's set this to 1. To 1. I think that's fine. So Command A all, Command Shift D. Oh no, it's not this one. Hey, whoa, wait. Let's go. Well, it's in timeline, right? So still image default duration. I don't know, let's say 10. Is it 10 frames? But it's video transition. Audio transition is like, oh, it's seconds. Let's say frames and set it to 10. And this one also frames to 10. Okay, now it should be fixed. Command A, D, yes. Now you see the transition is shorter. You can set the default here in the settings. And boom. This is dope. Let's go. Maybe one more. Maybe this one here at the beginning, and then we are done. We are done then, and it's amazing. Oh, this one I want to be here. Here we can also add some. Yes, this is pretty cool. I'm right now way too much in the flow. I'm probably adding way too much effects, but I love it. Yes, and now let's turn on the music as well, and let's see how that looks. Well, that's a different power, right? So, sound effects are finishing everything up, and bro, this is fire. I'm super happy with that. Et voila. Yes, guys, that's it. That's how you create that epic infinity zoom out Rolls-Royce effect. And I hope you have learned a lot today. I'm super excited what you guys are going to create with these techniques, and I'm going to see you in the next one.